Welcome back to Coast Broker Buzz with Jen and Holly. We are continuing to talk about navigating seasonal acquisitions.
Yes, we are, Jen. Like I said, seasonal businesses have unique challenges. So the consideration that I'm going to highlight today is the customer demand fluctuations, right? So customer loyalty can be strong, but highly seasonal. Analyze demand patterns to gauge how predictable customer behavior is. And then consider strategies to boost those off-season revenue, such as promotions or new services.
Yes, it's really important to understand the demand when you have a seasonal business. For example, my husband's family, they had a very seasonal business. They sold caps and gowns for graduations, and all their revenue only happened in May and June. So talk about seasonal. This was very seasonal, but they had a big staff on hand that worked all year long. So all other months, what they had to do was they had to be engaging their customers who were colleges and high schools to make sure that they had everything lined up. They had all the product, everything packaged. They knew how many students and everything, or if there were requests for proposals that they were going after. So it was very constant that they were always working, and they had to be going after those colleges. So there was always a demand out there, but they had to be engaging it and understanding what it was.
That's a great example, Jen. And honestly, sounds like the other 10 months are doing business development, right? Going out there and bringing new clients in. And that leads us to our next point, sustainability and growth. So assessing the long-term visibility of the business is important, and then research the industry trends and maybe explore ways to diversify those revenue streams. Consider expanding operations into different seasons to stabilize the income overall.
Yes. Holly, you made some great points. And when we did put it on the market to sell, some of the things that the buyer was looking at was how could they expand on that. So for example, they just did caps and gowns, but then they looked at doing other things like selling rings and even diplomas. So those were different revenue avenues that they brought in. They were only in the US. So then they looked in being outside of the US. The company that did acquire them was from Canada. So it was very interesting, when we do acquisitions. So those are all really good points when you're thinking about buying a seasonal business to look into.
Oh, that's great. What a great way for them to try to maximize on that potential by venturing out into other markets internationally. So that's great to hear. But yeah, so at the end of the day, what's really important is, you're looking at these seasonal businesses, assess that growth potential of the business.
Yes, and we have so much more to talk about on seasonal businesses. So next week, we're going to talk about tips for a successful acquisition of a seasonal business. So stay tuned.